Excellent. Very good. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Welcome to the Board of Education meeting, Monday, November 5th, 2018. Just a quick announcement. Open public meeting statement. In accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, PL 1975 announcement, I wish to announce that the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the School District of the Chatham's Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, place thereof posted in the Board Administrative Offices, sent to the clerks of the Chatham Borough and the Chatham Township, the Library of Chatham's, the Chatham Courier, the Daily Record, the Star Ledger, and the TAP. Mr. DeQuilla, would you mind taking attendance?
Mr. Gilfillan, Mr. Arnott? Yes. Ms. Chambers? Ms. Ciccarelli?
Here.
Ms. Clark?
Yeah, I hear.
Ms. Kenny?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Here.
Mr. Valenti? Here. And Ms. Weber?
Here.
8 present and accounted for.
If you're able, please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is over by the entranceway. As well, Mason in the back. We have Luke, who's a new videographer, and Shane over here on sound again. So thank you again, gentlemen, for coming out and helping us broadcast the meeting live. I appreciate that. I do have 2 quick items for President's comments. One, I wanted to congratulate and acknowledge Dr. LaSousa on winning Superintendent of the Year. Well done. Dr. LaSousa was named Morris County Superintendent of the Year a few weeks back, or a month or so back, I forget, time flies. But then he was put into a larger pool, 560 some odd districts, and there's 3 regional ones selected, so Dr. LaSousa was Region 1, and this was recognition for demonstrating educational leadership, the ability to, mostly to prioritize balance and balance student well-being above all. Specifically, the selection qualifications, they look at how well the superintendent relates to the needs of the students, how they demonstrated communication strength, and a commitment to professional development growth for the staff. So well done, Dr. LaSousa.
And how far they run.
And how far they run, that's right. Dr. LaSousa was recognized on main stage down in Atlantic City 2 weeks ago with the 2 other New Jersey Superintendent of the Year, so that was very neat. So congratulations. Now, Mr. Ryan pointed out to me that we have a high school senior, Rhea Sinha, thank you very much, who, Dr. LaSousa was competing against 560 other superintendents. She literally competed over 10,000 with other 10,000 students and won a spot on Teen Jeopardy. So she was asked to just sign up, take an online test by some of her academic team members. She then was asked back to do an in-person interview in Washington and then, do a mock Jeopardy, and then an personality kind of interview. And then she was, of the 10,000, it went from 10,000 to 300 to 15. She was one of the 15 students selected. So her tournament on Jeopardy will air next Monday, November 12th. So that's part of the good news story. Mr. Ryan, thank you for bringing that to our attention. And she was homecoming queen? Wow, very nice. So again, congratulations to Rhea, and if you can, watch her episode or TiVo it on November 12th, next Monday. I just want to point out the 2 newest board members have brought good news stories, so they're making us look bad. We're going to have to step up our act. So that was all that I had for now, so let's move right over to Dr. LaSousa for superintendent reports.
Well, thank you, first of all, for your very kind words, Ms. Weber. I appreciate it, and it was an honor to be recognized in Atlantic City and have 3 board members with me to, partake in the festivities. So thank you, and thank you to the entire board for being so supportive of all of the students in the district and helping continually improve what we can offer to the students here. This is one meeting where we don't have a formal report. We'll return to that format next meeting as we get into the programs of studies at the middle school and high school, and then shortly thereafter we'll also do the report on the graduates and have Doug Walker from the high school join us. But this is a meeting where we don't have anything under the superintendent's report listed as a formal report. So the only thing I will mention is that the fall play is next weekend. I'm sure some of you might comment on this later, but it's the perfect thing to do right before the Thanksgiving holiday. And this year, of course, we have a brand new auditorium slash theater slash performing arts center, and it looks terrific. And we just kind of poked our heads in there before this meeting to see the students who were rehearsing and doing kind of a final call with a photographer and everything. So we're really excited to open up the auditorium next week. We're going to have an open house on Thursday night just to come in and see what it looks like for anyone in the community, and then the show will go on Friday and Saturday of next week.
Not this coming weekend, the following weekend.
Correct.
Right.
Next week,
So
as
not
the
this Thursday,
5th,
but-
16th, 17th, or
Yeah,
yes.
perfect. I know it's in Sal's report, but I just wanted to make sure it wasn't.
And that is it from my report.
Excellent. Does anybody have any questions for Dr. LaSousa? Lada?
I do. With the election being tomorrow, are there going to be any schools that are going to be open for the elections?
Yes is the answer, and Peter will.
Yes, in the only two polling places in the district are both in the borough. They use the Washington Avenue new gymnasium, and in the in the middle school, they use the main gymnasium. So at the middle school, the voters will go in and out the entrance at the middle school right by the ramp down by the tennis courts. And at Washington Avenue, they go in the entrance that's directly by the gym. So we keep them separated from all of the student activity.
Do we have additional security in place for those two polling places, or are we working with the police department to?
It's the borough having the police make extra rounds.
Excellent. And Dr. LaSousa, did you say specifically when the report of graduates will be?
I believe we have that scheduled for the second meeting in December, but I need to check with Ms.
Okay.
Chase and Mr.
So it's not
Walker.
the next meeting?
No, the next meeting will be Program of Studies.
Okay.
We have 3 meetings, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, prior to the new year. And 2 of those meetings will have the Program of Studies and the report of graduates, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Okay. So it's not the very next one. Next one is program studies, then following report of graduates. Great. Just want to mark my calendar. Those are big ticket items. A lot of people rush in for those. I actually love that. The report of the graduates I love. Any other questions for Dr. LaSousa before we move on to the business administrator's report? No, everybody good over here? Good. Mr. DeQuilla, would you mind?
Not at all. I just want to, echo some of your thunder. I find it a privilege to work for Mike on a daily basis, and not only, I think he finally was truly recognized by the rest of the state as the, Region 1 superintendent. So hands off to Mike, and I think a lot of the district's accolades are due to his hard efforts.
There you go. You have to
And-
say that, though, right? Because he does your evaluation? Oh.
No, I don't have to say it.
I'm
I
only
could have
kidding.
just moved in and, kind of give him a nudge for stealing my thunder to say that the auditorium seats there, the orchestra is all installed. They're working on the balcony, which will be finished by the end of this week. There are some adjustments that will need to be corrected, which may happen after the fall play, but the auditorium will be good to go by the end of this week.
Okay. And how about the pit? I haven't been down there because it's a little creepy and dark. Is
It-
that all?
It was all done, and that was finished, once, before, when we had our, soft finish without the seats.
Okay.
The pit was done. The covers for the pit are much lighter, so they're easier for the maintenance crew to get off. So as much
Okay.
as James Lawrence or the the producer of the play, determines to expose of the orchestra, that's up to them.
Okay.
But everything
But
is...
John and his team are happy. John Cataldo and his team are happy with the
Yes,
installation?
much happier with that, and I know that when I was overlooking at the seats last week, James kind of got yelled at, James Lawrence, because he was testing and playing with the sound system,
Oh,
and somebody came in thinking it was the workers that were blasting the radio and disturbing school.
oh, nice.
And they realized it was James. They said, knock yourself out, keep playing.
Yeah, he said it sounded nice, and the high-def projector, he said, looked really good. So I can't wait to see it in action. Yes,
The
it's
other
great.
2 minor construction items, the central office continues to progress. The contractor is finishing with the interior work of the electrical work, the painting, and the installation of the drop ceilings. The gas line is scheduled to be relocated this week on the Thursday, Friday Saturday if necessary when there's no school. The tentative completion date is right before Thanksgiving. We are tentatively planning to move the weekend of December 6th, 7th, and 8th, like the Thursday afternoon, the Friday, and the Saturday.
Okay.
And the auditorium, the architect is still working with the principal, with the people involved in the sound in the middle school to review the specs so they can be finalized for bid.
Okay, fantastic.
That's all I have, unless anyone has any questions.
I do on inspections. How are we on inspections for?
The last inspection for the auditorium will be when the township comes in to look at the seats and make sure they're, I guess, sturdy and installed properly. And for the administration building, we're up to date. The next will be the final,
Okay.
or the above ceilings and everything has been done.
Okay, so no surprises like
No
the previous?
surprises.
Excellent. Thank you. And, oh, absolutely, sure thing.
With all the rain we've been having recently again, no problems with the roof?
There are no problems with the auditorium roof. We do have a few leaks elsewhere in the district that we're working with Tremco, which is waterproof technologies, to get corrected, but none of the new roofs are leaking.
All right, that's
So it's just some existing spots that we're working on. John Cataldo and I are gonna meet with Kyle Schweppenheiser next Monday to go over the plan for them to fix the few patches they need to do under a maintenance program.
Excellent. Very good. Does anybody else have any questions for either Dr. LaSousa or Mr. DeQuilla? Seeing none? No? Good down there? Excellent. Okay, very good. We're going to move on to committee reports. Personnel, Ms. Kenny?
We have not met since our last meeting.
Okay, very good. Curriculum, Mrs. Ciccarelli?
Yeah, we met just prior to this meeting and discussed any changes in the program of studies for the middle school and the high school, which there will be a presentation on at the next board meeting. I don't know when we meet again. Okay, December 5th.
Okay, that's our next meeting? Our next board meeting? I thought it was November. Finance and facilities, Mr. Gilfin is not here. Mr. Ryan? We have not met. 11/19. Okay, great, thanks. 11/19. Okay, policy and planning, Mr. Arnott.
Jill, I missed the last policy and planning meeting, and I also missed the last board meeting, so I'm not sure if you talked about it since then.
We
I did receive the policy notes from Peter, but if someone here was there in person, maybe they want to talk about it.
I was there, but it was right prior to the board meeting. So we already
We've already
reported on that
out
policy
That's
meeting.
part of the minutes.
Yeah.
On the October 15th meeting, because the policy meeting was October 15th.
Oh, it was the same
So
day,
all
okay.
I
good.
think we're up to date.
Yep.
Perfect, so that's part of the minutes from the 15th. Okay, fantastic. Liaison reports, I do not have anything new from the borough. Township, Ms. Clark?
Nothing as it relates to the schools?
Athletic boosters? No, we haven't met. You reported out on it last time, and they haven't met again since then, so I apologize. Performing arts, Mr. Arnott, bring us home with a big report.
Sure, this is really quick. Dr. LaSousa stole some of my thunder. There is going to be an open house on November 14th for the new Performing Arts Center. From 8 to 9 p.m., student tour guides will be showing off all the great new features of the amazing space. The seats will be in. So you have free time.
That's Wednesday? I thought it was Thursday.
11/14.
It's the 14th, the 15th is the senior citizen.
Oh, got it, okay.
Production/dinner. So the 14th
Is a
is
Wednesday.
Wednesday night. That's the open house. Sorry
And the
about that.
and the play is 15th for seniors, and the 16th and 17th, it's Radium Girls. So mark your calendars. And then finally, just real quick, don't forget to follow Chatham Performing Arts in Facebook and in Twitter under @arts_Chatham.
Excellent. Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Arnott. I appreciate that. Ms. Kenny, you had a big weekend. Chatham Education Foundation?
Yes, the Chatham Education Foundation had its annual trivia night, and they raised close to $20,000 and sold 39 tables, so almost 400 people attended. The big winner was Live from Chatham, was the team, and so I'll make for next year we should definitely do a board table. It was a great night. They had two locations. One was at Myersville and one was at Fish and Game. Their for CEF's annual appeal letter will be hitting mailboxes next week, and teacher tributes are scheduled to open up on November 16th.
Excellent.
Lotta, you mean, when you say Myersville, you mean the township building on Myersville Road? Okay, just to clear that up if there's any confusion.
I'm sorry, yes.
Just in the middle of the road.
Just on the middle. Yes, the township center at Myersville Road, yes.
Very good. Thank you very much, Lotta. Recreation, Mr. Gilfillan is not here, and PTO District Cabinet, have there been any meetings?
This week on Wednesday
Okay,
at
perfect.
11 a.m.
At your central
Yes.
office? Okay, very good. Thank you. I just moving on. I'd like to make a motion to pass the October 15th public session and the October 29th public and private sessions. Second by Ann. Peter, can you tell us who should abstain?
On the 10:15, Mr. Onick needs to abstain, and on the 10:29, Mr. Valenti and Ms. Weber both need to abstain. So I'll just vote, we can vote all at once if we want, that's fine.
Do them one at a time, just because
Okay.
thank you.
10:15 minutes, Mr. Onick, Ms. Chambers,
Yes.
Ms. Ciccarelli,
Yes.
Ms. Clark,
Yes.
Ms. Kenny,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan, Mr. Valenti, and Ms. Weber.
Abstain.
Nope, that's the one you can vote yes on if you choose.
Oh, sorry, yes. I got ahead of myself.
That passes 7-0-1.
Maybe I want to abstain on those too.
That's fine too. The 10:29 minutes, Mr. Onick? Yes. Ms. Chambers?
Yes.
Ms. Ciccarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Clark?
Yes.
Ms. Kenny?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan? Yes. Mr. Valenti? Ms. Weber?
Abstain.
Those pass 5-0-2.
Excellent. Thank you. We have our first opportunity for public commentary. Before we jump there, Mr. Ryan, would you mind moving the finance items in Mr. Gilfillan's absence?
Sure.
It's not up yet. I should have mentioned it beforehand, so I apologized about that. So we have our first opportunity for public commentary. Hearing of citizens during the public commentary section of the agenda is an opportunity for any member of the public to be heard about issues which are or are not topics scheduled for the current meeting. To help facilitate an orderly meeting and to permit all to be heard, speakers are asked to limit their comments to a reasonable length of time. Ms. Clark will help us with the timing if we need it. So if you have... Yeah, just count up, and then we could just let folks know. And if you wouldn't mind, introduce yourself. Yep.
Hi there, I'm Sally Allen of Chatham Township, and I'm here on behalf of Chatham Education Foundation. So tonight we wanted to present our check for the most recent round of grants that hit in October. So this check is for $14,273.95. And the check will apply to a number of grants that I just wanted to quickly go over. The first, we are very lucky and proud to be able to support TEDx Learning in Chatham. And this will fund 2 teachers going on to a conference to learn how to implement a club and then eventually an integrated part of the curriculum in terms of TEDx presentation skills, and will lead us to a TEDx of our own in 2020 in our new auditorium. So, which is big news, which will be professionally produced by a TEDx producer as well. So CF is proud to co-sponsor that. That is a district level grant. The other grants that are going out, we have 2 literacy grants. One for Washington Avenue School. It's a We Both Read program where parents and children will read together. They'll take books home, and there's parent pages and student pages to encourage reading together, and they're just right levels. So the student reads at their level and the parent reads at a parent level. And the second one is for a 12th grade English class for Una Abrams' class that allows for peer independent reading, group reading. So there'll be multiple copies of books in the classroom. What she has found is when students read, a lot of them want to read the same book. So at this point in time, they'll do more book club type of books so that they can read together. And then the other grants are one's for a CMS Spanish teacher named Jessica Weston, and she has created a booklet in Spanish that will be used throughout the year. So we're paying for the binding on that through Barnes & Noble that will be used repeatedly. And then on the technology front, the last grant is for boogie boards, which are like writable tablets, which will go to Milton Avenue School. So we had some great grant applications, and our next grant round is coming up on November 27th. That's our next deadline, and that is the first grant cycle of the year to include furniture grants. So we're looking forward to getting some great applications around furniture grants.
Oh,
Thank you.
that's fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the support that Chatham Education Foundation provides across the whole district. Thank you, Sally. Any additional public commentary? There's another opportunity at the end if something... Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, no, go ahead. Yeah. Sure. If we can answer it, if we can answer it quickly.
Hi, Amy Gargis. I'm a resident here at Borough, and I've been fortunate enough to...
Sorry, would you mind speaking into the mic? I apologize. I have
Yeah.
difficulty hearing.
Okay. Amy Gargis. I'm a Borough resident, and I've been fortunate enough to be corresponding with Dr. LaSousa recently about full-day kindergarten, and I understand at the last meeting, unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it. There was a demographics study that was prepared, and I was just wondering what the next steps were from that. I know you discussed it. It wasn't clear from the minutes quite sort of what would be going on after. Yes.
Any additional? We try to get everybody up speaking, and then I'll try and address your concern. Any additional public commentary before we close that out? No takers? Okay. Then I'm going to close the... Oh, I'm sorry.
I just wanted everybody to know that the most recent demographer's report has been posted to the district website. It's either under the board section or under the business, I can't remember, but it's under demographer reports, and the last few are up there. Okay,
very good. So I'm closing the current public session, and there'll be another opportunity at the end. But just to address what Amy requested or asked, they're related to full-day kindergarten. Right now, it's a non-starter across the district. What we're hoping to do, depending on how enrollment falls out, is maybe do a pilot or tuition program, again, depending on how everything falls out. But more importantly, what I want to mention is the word redistricting. Because of the population and where the demographer is showing the pockets of population and the amount of construction and growth in the Southern Boulevard district section, we have been talking about the need to redistrict pretty much since April of 2017. I've at least been saying it that since every meeting since April of 2000. So I don't want anybody to be shocked, but we're going to have to do some type of shift where, Southern and Washington are maybe over enrolled, and Milton is currently at enrollment or maybe slightly under enrollment now that there's 4 new classrooms online. So while full day kindergarten is not currently on our topic, the next step for full day kindergarten would be a pilot program, maybe a lottery system. We haven't really gotten that far. That would be up to Dr. LaSousa and certainly Ms. Chase to present some options to the board. But to offer I don't know if you remember from a couple years back, in order to offer full day kindergarten, we would literally need between $800,000 and $1 million annually in an operating budget to offer it. We would also need, at the time, 6 new classrooms. So if somebody gave us 6 new classrooms and said, here, do full day kindergarten, we couldn't do it because we need about $1 million. If somebody handed us $1 million, we still can't do it because we don't have the room. So it's going to be a phased approach. The 4 new classrooms will help. Every kindergarten has to have a certain square footage and a ADA compliant, American Disabilities Act compliant restroom. So it is definitely not on the horizon for September. We could definitely say that. I just don't know. There's no definitive answer other than we're going to start to look at possibly a tuition-based pilot. Possibly. Dr. LaSousa, would you like to add anything to that, or did I go off trail at all? No?
No, I think that's right.
So I know it's probably not the answer you're looking for, but that's where we stand right now. But redistricting is going to be first before any full-day kindergarten. I can say that and shout that from the rooftops. Okay, thank you very much. We'll have another opportunity for public commentary at the end, which we should arrive at fairly quickly. We're going to move on to our regular agenda, and Personnel is up front. First, Ms. Kenny, would you mind?
Yes, I'd like to move action items A1 to A18, and if you look on the addendum, there is one adjustment on A3 for vote.
Did somebody second it?
Second.
I'm sorry, second.
Any discussion?
I just had a quick question. Have we determined that all mentorships have been filled, or are we still in the process of finding mentors? Well, this one says we're waiting to decide on a mentor for the, I think it's Mr. Heaney at the high school. That's what I thought, and then it comes in after that. Is that how that works? Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
Excellent. Any additional questions on personnel, as much as you can?
She's been a long time secretary at Lafayette Avenue School. She decided to retire. I want to wish her the best.
Well done. Get so jealous of these retirements. Any additional questions for personnel for either Ms. Grant or Ms. Kenny or Dr. LaSousa? Nope, seeing none. Mr. DeQuilla, would you mind?
Items A1 through A18 with the addendum on A3. Mr. Arnick? Yes. Ms. Chambers?
Yes.
Ms. Ciccarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Clark?
Yes.
Ms. Kenny? Yes. Mr. Ryan? Yes. Mr. Valenti? Yes. And Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Agenda items pass 8-0.
Okay. And before we move on to finance and facilities, I just want to mention again, the agendas are posted on Friday night. So if it appears that we go through the agenda fairly quickly, it's that we've been looking at it all weekend. And, you know, what's on the agenda is a result of what was discussed in committee. So we're not whipping through it. We've actually looked at it. And if anybody wants to look at it ahead of time, it's posted by Friday before 4 o'clock on the website. So without further ado, Mr. Ryan, would you mind moving finance and facilities in place of Mr. Gilfillan?
Sure. Before we do that, we have a couple of donations to mention. In addition to the $14,237 Chatham Education Foundation donation that Ms. Abram mentioned, there are a few others. Chatham Athletic Boosters, $2,000 for the purchase of a track tent. A donation of $500 from Jill Weber through the Bank of America Charitable Foundation Matching Contribution Fund to purchase supplies for Nerd Camp. Thank you, Ms. Weber. A Chan donation to CMS in the amount of $96 from Wendy Chan for Chatham Middle School. A donation to Chatham High School Robotics Program, $500 from Siegel Architects. And some scholarships
Oh, yeah.
in the amount of $6,500. Gail Chestnut Fund. We have $2,000 to the Beta Johnson Leadership Award. $3,500 Beth Kuhn Clark Scholarship, and $1,000 for the Gail Chestnut Scholarship Award.
Excellent.
And that's it on the donations. Having said that, I'd like to move B1 through B22.
Second.
Excellent, thank you. Peter, just a quick question on the number 14. The three scholarships are all funded by Ms. Chestnut?
Yes.
Wow. I had the pleasure of meeting Ms. Chestnut a few years back when we were unveiling her plaque. If anybody wants to read about Ms. Chestnut, there's a beautiful plaque in the A gym, and she is an outstanding role model for a lot of our female athletes. So very generous. Well, thank you, Mr. Ryan, for reading off all the donations, and thank you to everybody who has donated and just helps make Chatham a phenomenal school district. Does anybody have any questions for anybody on the Finance Committee or Mr. DeQuilla? No, I think you guys are all the Finance Committee. Okay, fantastic. Peter, would you
Agenda
mind?
items B1 through B22. Mr. Arnick?
Yes.
Ms. Chambers?
Yes.
Ms. Ciccarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Clark?
Yes.
Ms. Kenny? Mr. Ryan? Mr. Valenti? And Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Agenda items pass 8-0.
Mrs. Ciccarelli, would you mind moving curriculum?
Yes, I'd like to move agenda item C1 to C7 on your regular agenda.
Thank you. So, and Dr. LaSousa, on item number 5, and I don't know if it's Karen or Mike, but I'm going to direct it to Mike. Item number 5, we're adding additional delayed openings. Now, just to get it straight in my head, these are the 3 days after Thanksgiving break, correct?
Yes.
And these are for all of the students that still need to take part of the park testing because of the graduation requirements.
Yes.
And that's about 130-ish students?
Ish.
Ish, okay. So 130 students have to come in after the holiday, but the other 1,200 or 1,100 get a delayed opening?
That's correct.
Well, nice. Very nice. I don't know what you kids complain about, for
Yeah,
goodness
and
sakes.
the reason for that is that even though it might seem like 130 is a small percentage of the total student body, it's only 10%. The resources that it takes to to administer the assessments and to block off rooms for small group instruction and for larging testing areas, like Mr. Groh was saying to the curriculum committee earlier tonight, we don't have we don't have much excess space in the building. We don't have any excess space. So if we have to take a block of classrooms and it ends up being more than 10% because of small group administration, we can't continue the normal schedule of the school day.
And these 130 have been informed that they need to take this in order to graduate.
Yes.
They may get in. They're mostly all juniors, but they'll need it
Yeah,
anyway. They need to put this in.
They're primarily juniors who did not take the ELA 10 last year because they had already taken ELA 9 2 years ago.
Right, because of the state said they didn't have to. Okay. So, but the 3 half days might be a good opportunity for some of the seniors to button up their college applications, maybe can they meet with their counselors at that time?
Sure.
So I don't know if, we can, because this is just being added to the calendar now, so I don't know if the counseling department or, let them know that they have 3 additional delayed openings if they need to visit a school that's nearby. You can get out to Lafayette or Lehigh and back before, noontime.
Yep.
So maybe we could.
The counseling department is pretty heavily involved in the test administration.
Oh, they are.
These young men were just telling me before the meeting that they were planning on gathering early in the morning to study on those 3 days because they thought it would give them an opportunity to get ahead. So I think a lot of the students are thinking in that direction post-Thanksgiving.
Mr. Mason says he's otherwise engaged on those days, and carry on without him, he'll join you in progress. Sure thing, Michelle.
So when we're talking about 130 students, how is that different from AP testing? And when we offer AP testing here, we're coming in some multiple sections with give or take 100 plus students taking a test at one time. Those kids get put into the gym or wherever they're taking the tests. Multiple tests are being given at one time, and we don't have a delayed opening. I'm not taking your delayed opening away. I'm just asking. Don't worry about it.
Typically, with AP testing, we don't have multiple tests at one time.
But
Once in a while, we might, but usually, if we have AP Psychology or AP US History, we have one big group of kids testing. Those students usually don't require the kinds of accommodations that we have to put in place for statewide testing.
Right. So,
And
example, like extended time or
well, and
time
in
and a half
addition to
or-
that,
okay.
though, park is all done electronically.
Yes.
So we then have to deal with balancing the wireless access points so that every
Okay.
Chromebook
No, I'm
can get
just
on and there's
wondering
no delays with
due to this
video and everything else. Whereas with AP testing, we can kind of put them in a room and
Hand it to
and
them.
that's it.
Okay. Thank you.
Excellent. Any additional questions on? Oh, Mary, go ahead.
So we've ironed out, I see on the cooperative sports program agreement, we've ironed out that all between Summit Wrestling and Chatham Wrestling, transportation and coaching, and do we have to worry about uniforms or anything like that? Or are they going to wear their Chatham uniforms? Like, has everything been addressed on that now that we're voting on that being accepted?
I don't know about that. What the NJSIA approved our proposal, which seems like a no-brainer, but actually is not. And there's been a lot of controversy over other sports programs merging. So that was a kind of a win. And then Summit asked that our board approve the fact that we're going forward before they wanted that as a condition of the venture. So I don't know all the details about uniforms and other things, but I know that Bill Abrera is working on that.
Okay, and it is still a varsity sport for these athletes.
Yes.
Great.
You good, Peter? Any additional questions on finance or facilities? No. Seeing none, okay. Peter, would you mind? Oh, it's 200 plus.
Agenda items C1 through C1 to C7. Mr. Arnott? Yes. Ms. Chambers?
Oh,
Ms. Chigarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Clark?
Yes.
Ms. Kenny? Yes. Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Valenti? And Ms. Weber.
Yes.
Agenda items pass 8-0.
And let me just add quickly that
Oh.
Peter noted for me, because he was dealing with the bus company today about the delayed openings, we have over 200 kids total that are testing. So it might have been 130 for the ELA 10, and then we had Algebra 1 and some others. So I was underneath the number by a little bit.
Okay. Don't forget to add Shane in. He wants a little extra testing. Excellent. Thank you. So moving on to policy, Mr. Arnott.
I'd like to move item 1 on your regular agenda regarding policy and regulation 1613 for vote.
Second.
Is this, Beth, I'm sorry, is this the pass the trash adjustment as it relates to that, or no? It has nothing to do with that?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Okay. I know that's how the press refers to it. I know that's not how you refer to it.
like to refer to it as pass the trash, but yes.
Well, that's how it's labeled in the papers. That's okay. Great. Does anybody have any questions on policy? No. Peter?
Sure. Agenda item D1. Mr. Arnott? Yes. Ms. Chambers?
Yes.
Ms. Chigarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Clark?
Yes.
Ms. Kenny?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Valenti? Yes. And Ms. Weber.
Yes.
Agenda item passes 8-0.
Excellent. We're now at our opportunity for board business. Does any member of the board have any old or new business they'd like to address or bring up?
I have something positive because I'm bringing positive things to hear.
Okay.
I just wanted to make our other board members in the community aware. Some of you may know that there's a new family welcome kind of self-run organization that's in Chatham that works in conjunction with the school district since 2003. This was spearheaded by a woman named Miranda Cogswell, who does not have kids in our district anymore and hasn't for quite some time. But they welcome families in. She gave me some data that it's about 70 families a year, roughly 180 students. Some families are coming from overseas, and they connect these families with other families from their home country so that they can acclimate more readily into our community. They work with people who are not English proficient to try to help them overcome some struggles that they might have when moving to Chatham. They work with networking and get kids involved, especially at the high school level when they come here. Sometimes it can be hard in a bigger school. Help them find clubs, networks, and find, a place for themselves. So it's always great to hear when people leave, the school district, but keep, bringing great talents and things back to us and are still willing to provide their talents and their time. So I was so happy. I get to see Miranda often, but she didn't want to be mentioned by name, but I have to. So, and she doesn't work alone. She works with other families that do just such a great service for us to help new families come to Chatham and feel welcome here. So it's a good thing that's happening.
Excellent. More good news. Love it. Love good news. Mary?
I just want to publicly thank, we voted tonight in the personnel section to approve a host of volunteer coaches for some club sports and for some varsity sports. And I just want to send out a big thank you to those folks. They're both professionals in their said sports and players that I know personally. And I've watched a couple gals, one of the gals grow up playing basketball, who's coming back to Julia Moorhead. She's coming back to coach as a volunteer at the high school level. And we have a host of paddle coaches who have signed on and generously donated their time to coach the growing numbers that we have in that sport. And like I said, they're both professionals and avid players. And I just want to thank them for their time and dedication to our student athletes.
Thank you, Mary. Well said. Hear, hear. Any additional board business? Everybody down here good? Mike, Sal? And you're good? Everybody good? Okay, excellent. We have our second opportunity for public commentary as the Has everybody queues up there in an orderly fashion? I'm just going to double check. Dr. LaSousa, we do not have an executive session tonight, correct?
Correct.
Excellent. Very good. Is that like an early birthday present or a late birthday present for you?
Good evening. Bill Heap, Chatham Borough. First a random comment and then on to the main topic. I think you can file this under the heading of where is the author Tom Wolfe when we need him the most. I think we'll have to call him up on the Ouija board to cover this one. But it was reported in the New York Times last Sunday that Silicon Valley executives are so concerned about the amount of screen time that their children are exposed to that they are requiring their nannies to not look at personal devices during working hours and limiting the amount of time that their children can be exposed to screen time. So I guess they actually want them to play on swings and in the sandbox. And this is from the same folks that brought us the problem in the first place. I guess they're dealing with technology's disappointments. I would also urge you all to watch the PBS Frontline story on Facebook. It's a two-part series, and it will tell you or make you aware of why you should never have signed up for Facebook in the first place. On to the main topic. Last week, Mary Chambers, our last meeting, Mary Chambers read a story from a New Jersey magazine about the advent of non-traditional sports. Last Tuesday night, we gave the JCs, we at our awards dinner gave the girls hockey team a grant. They came to us and made their case, and we were really impressed with the amount of volunteer hours that they put in, and we're all about volunteering. They will be here asking for varsity status at some point. And I think that it would be a good idea for the school board to come up with some sort of policy with that in that regard. Something that's written down, something that will let everybody know where they stand. Hockey is an expensive sport, and I'm not quite sure where anybody's going to come up with the money for that. They should maintain club status for a period of time so they can show continuity before they get varsity level status. And I do think you have some leverage on this one because this is one area where parents will open up their wallets if they find that their children are benefiting. So some sort of policy would be a good idea, I think. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional public commentary? Nope. Going once. Well, thank you everybody for coming out. I appreciate that. Drive safely. It's a little wet out there. I know. Have a great night. Thank you, gentlemen. Shane, thank you. Mason, Luke, thank you.